Vinyl community, I'm back to do a recent vinyl finds video. I have a stack of records to show you, mainly jazz actually, but I'm going to start off with the non-jazz records. I have some psych, some soul, funk, yeah, but mainly jazz. But I'm going to take them, show them in the last part of the video, and some sound samples also. I like to include them when I can and feel that it's needed to show off what the more obscure stuff is, so you get a sense of what I'm showing. And it's the jazz section is mainly Swedish jazz, so if that's not your bag or you're not interested in that, so this is maybe not your video. But I have two grails to show you today. One jazz and especially one psych record I'm really happy to have scored for a ridiculous price. So I'm going to start off with that and also give you a sound sample of that. So yeah, let's begin. So the first one, this is maybe the find of the year. I seem to say that in almost every video now, and I really had, I mean, this year has been incredible when it comes to finding these rare items. And I have to add this to that list. This is Krokodil with An Invisible World Revealed on United Artists, the first German press with the structured, flimsy kind of cover. A gatefold, and there's the backside there. And as you can see, there's a tear here from a price sticker. It has some ring wear on it, not too bad, and I can definitely say that the spine of this have seen better days. And the record label has a sticker of a name there, a name tag. But other than that, it's in very good condition. I mean, it's a VG++ record, and it's not bothering me too much with the sticker. It's other than that, it's fine. But finding this is, yeah, incredible. It's, as you know, it's a very hard record to find, and especially in this condition. It's very, very expensive, and I bought it for a fraction of the price that you pay for it. So adding that to my collection is great. Krokodil is a Swiss output, Swiss musicians, but they released it in Germany, so it's known as a krautrock record. And maybe I can agree, it's heavy psych or heavy rock. Maybe in the same vein as Solid Ground, if you want to name drop something else from Germany. Yeah, here's the sound sample. Hope you enjoyed that. Now moving on, Elise Weinberg released one record in 1968, I think. In 1969 she recorded another one. She's from Laurel Canyon. But that record was shelved until 2015 when the Numero group released it. So some years between recording it and releasing it. But here it is for us to listen to. This is a good singer-songwriter record, and she has a great voice, but it's not a masterpiece in any term. Neil Young is playing on one of the songs. And I actually found this still in shrink. It's looked unplayed in a thrift store for $1. Like 10 kronor, €1. And who buys this in 2015 and gives it away to charity for them to sell to another one for 10 crowns? I have no idea. But I'm super happy, because I wouldn't buy this for the price that they're taking for it, like $20 or whatever. But for $1, I mean, that's of course it's going with me home. I also found an original US press in fantastic condition of Outlaw, the Eugene McDaniels record from 1970, and this is a monster record. It's not as good as Headless Heroes, but it's pretty damn close. And I actually showed this not too long ago, maybe a year ago. I bought a reissue that was released maybe 4 or 5 years ago, with pretty bad sound quality. So I've been looking for an original US press, because I had the original first US press of Headless Heroes, and I wanted this to go along with it. This is not as expensive as Headless Heroes, but almost as good, so seek this out. I never seem to pay what records usually go for. I always pay less when I'm out there digging. Try to find those, you know, scores that is... I want to do good deals. You know, everyone wants to do good deals. This, I'm going to do a sound sample if I can find one, because you need to hear this. This is Bruce and Vladdy, The Reality. This was released in 1970 in Sweden, so you have Swedish liner notes here. And it was maybe pressed in 200 copies or something like that in 1970. It's very hard to find a copy of this, and goes for hundreds of dollars if you find one. But this is the reissue by Bumpy Soul, the Spanish reissue label, and they did a great job reissuing this. Very good, and it's cheap for being a reissue. I think I paid 12 euros for this. Well worth it. As you can see, it's just two guys playing organ and drums, so you have a kind of a Hansson and Karlsson thing going on here, and sound-wise it's not that far from it, but it's more soulful. There's 10 tracks on this, and in my opinion it feels almost like the tracks are moving into each other and almost creating a one big piece. And I'm going to try to give you a sound sample of this. It's very good. Segueing into the jazz, we have Young Forever. This is a tribute record to Lester Young by Nisse Sandström, Horace Parlan and Red Mitchell from 1984, but released in 1986. This was recorded in Denmark, and it's great. Red Mitchell plays fabulous bass. Nisse Sandström is always good on the saxophone, and Horace Parlan on piano. Really good. It's not a masterpiece at all, but it's a cheapo. You can find very cheap, and it's well worth the money. In 1982, they did a reissue of this, Riverside, of a 1956 released Thelonious Monk's Brilliant Corners with Sonny Rollins, Ernie Henry, and Clark Terry. This is a classic jazz record, and I think it was €5. Yeah, fantastic record, classic. And this was killer. This is recommended to everyone. This is Archie Shepp and Lars Gullin Quintet, The House I Live In, from 1963. Recorded 1963, but released in 1980 on Steeplechase Records. Recorded in Copenhagen 1963. And they didn't release it because it was in such bad recording quality. So it was shelved, but someone released it on Steeplechase afterwards, because they thought that the historical significance of it was greater than the recording quality, and I agree. It's a killer session. The recording quality is bad, but it's not that bad. It was better than I expected it after reading the liner notes. So if you're a Shepp fan from 1963 and you want to listen to how he sounded in Scandinavia from this period, this is a no-brainer. Just get it. It's cheap also, so don't hesitate. So now I'm going to give you the next sound sample, and this is the jazz grail I was talking about. I've been looking for this for a long time, and it's been on my want list. I actually almost bought it like maybe a year ago. I found a seller who had a decent copy, pretty bad copy, like VG copy for I think it was $150, which is a pretty decent price for it in that condition, and I had to, but I couldn't like get the funds for it, so it just ran out in the sand. So when I was in Gothenburg, I found it. This is Schizo with Bernt Egerblad Trio. This is the back side, and the inside, this is just a piece of cardboard, so it doesn't even have a decent like record cover. It was put out in a plastic outer sleeve that since 1965, when this was released, it's always crackled and broken and get this brownish kind of battered plastic look to it. So you can imagine how hard it is to find a good copy of it. and it was released on Swedisk in 1965. And Swedisk is hey, I read somewhere or someone said that Swedisk had problems because they were released in an inner sleeve that over time almost glued to the surface of the record. So you have these sort of surface noise things on them, but this hasn't. So maybe they exchanged the inner sleeve or something like that. It's in very good condition. I bought this for a fraction of the price I almost bought it for a year ago. I got a great deal for it, and I'm super happy with that. This is one of the best Swedish jazz records in my opinion. One of the to-go-to records, and the title track, Schizo, is a fantastic track. It's not free jazz, but the title track is a little bit more out there. The rest of it is more standard jazz from Sweden from 1965, and it's also really good. But I'll try to include a sound sample of it here. So I hope you enjoyed that as much as I am. The next one is also a Swedish release by a Turkish artist called Salih Bashal, and this is The Myth from 1970 or 71, 72. I bought this sealed, and this is part of the Universal Folk Sounds Volume 7, and this series, I think it ended with this one, but before this they released music for Saba, Sevda, Okita Mist, Don Cherry and Oriental Wind, so a pretty good series there. If you're not into Turkish violin music, maybe this is not your bag, but it's a great sort of world jazz record with Mafi Falai and Okita Mist on it too. So that sort of 70s Don Cherry period with Okita Mist on, this is a little bit like that, so if that's your thing, maybe you should check it out. Next one, this was pretty cool. I've been after this for a while. It's been on my want list for a long time. And this is Levande improviserad musik from Göteborg. Living improvised music from Gothenburg. The first output from this new label called LIM. And it's a compilation of Gothenburg groups playing improvised jazz music. And the most known group here is Mount Everest. So there's the label there. So I went into a store. They had this for 35 euro, like 40 bucks, which is a decent price for it. But I hesitated and I went to the next store instead, and they had it for 9 euros, so maybe 10, 12 bucks. So I bought it there instead, and that's a really good price for this. It's not easy to find. Next one also. One that has been on my want list, Lars Gullin live from 1969 with Lalle Svensson, Bernt Rosengren, Björn Alke, Torbjörn Hultkrantz och Leif Wennerström on the Columbia record label. Also a really good record by Lars Gullin. You have songs by Bud Powell, Charlie Parker and Monk on this, and one original Lars Gullin song to end it all. And yeah, that was great to add this to my Lars Gullin record. And this is going to be the next sound sample, if I can find a sound sample of it, because it's a monster record. It's Bengt Berger and Kjell Westling spelar or plays. It's a private pressed, improvised jazz record, just 2 long jams really on side 1 and 2. With Kjell Westling playing saxophone and clarinet, and Bengt Berger is drumming away like a mother. So in one sense, this is the sort of Swedish duo exchange. Really wild playing, dare I say, with a Swedish touch compared to duo exchange. really good. And next one, the Kenny Clark, Francie Boland Big Band, Francie Boland's Cuban Fever and Gary McFarland's Latin Kaleidoscope on MPS Records. I took a chance on this. It's good. It's Afro Cuban kind of big band jazz on MPS. The backside is really colorful. It's cool. There's the front there is a French press, and it has some great players on this: Sabo Martinez, Shaib Shiab, Phil Woods, Åke Persson. So yeah, a really interesting big band outfit. And I'm not a huge fan of big band records, but this was good. That's it. Hope you enjoyed what I showed you, and hope you have a great day. You leave comments if you have questions and stuff like that. And I'll see you soon. Bye.